Bathroom Breaks and Bedtime Tales presents Mile Marker 292 by Sebastian Winters. Snow came at the windshield like a billion white bees. Wipers slapped useless arcs. The world beyond the hood was an unlit room. No edges, no horizon. Just the hiss of tires and the strange note of the engine pulling 40,000 pounds up a long, invisible grade. "Come on," I muttered, leaning forward as if my breath could push the truck through winter. My hands were locked on the wheel, knuckles in a slow ache. The cab smelled like coffee gone bitter and wet rubber. Heat blasted from the vents, hot enough to dry my eyes. I hadn't seen another set of tail lights in 40 minutes. Mile markers came and went like shy ghosts. Green signs blurred into static and then gone. My left mirror showed nothing but a clean sheet of dark. The right mirror was a ceiling of flakes. "CB," crackled. Then a voice, thin, high, buried in the white noise. "Brake! Brake! Anyone?" I thumbed the mic. "You're on. Go ahead." "Off the road. I can't. The babies. We're at 290. Static swarmed and the voice vanished into it. "Say again," I said. "Say again with your mile marker." The radio hissed like frying grease. Wind shouldered the truck. My trailer tugged left, then right, a big dog on a leash. I eased the wheel and felt the whole rig shiver back under me. 290? 2? A sobbing intake. Words ran together. "He's not moving much. I'm so cold." I fumbled for the atlas folded in the door pocket, as if a paper map could tell me where a stranger was drowning in snow. Useless. I looked at the digital dash. Mile 290 flashed past my left window with a sting of green. 292? I said into the mic, watching the world slip by. "You southbound or north?" "Down," she said. "Down? The sign said down. I don't know. It's just white." "Okay," I said, my heart hammered in my throat. "You see any signs? Any trucks?" "Nothing," she said. Just like wind, the way her voice poured through the wire. I pushed the hazard button. The cab filled with the soft tick of the relay as amber lights started to blink along my trailer. The road was a cold snake under me. "Listen to me," I said. "Turn your engine on if it's off. Crack the window. Turn the heat up. Not all the way, just enough to keep you warm. If you got a blanket, wrap the baby. Keep your phone on if you can." "It died," she said. "I was using the car to charge it, and then the car stopped. I think the muffler is—" Her voice disappeared. The radio spit and went silent. I tried again. "Breaker, you still there?" Silence. My breath sounded like paper tearing. Mile marker 291 slid by. I put my right blinker on, out of habit more than law. No one was there to care, and eased on to the shoulder. Snow licked the tires. I could feel the rumble strips like tiny bones under the steers. The truck ground to a long, complaining stop. I set the brakes, and the red needles on the dash blinked to stillness. The quiet was an empty room in my chest. I killed the headlights. The night rushed in. No shapes, no silhouettes, just the white. I sat there with my hands on the wheel and tried to think of the line you're supposed to hold in your life, the invisible lane that keeps you from drifting into someone else's ditch. Company policy said to keep rolling. Company policy said call it in and move on. Company policy did not have a baby in it. I did. I grabbed a hat from the passenger seat and yanked it down over my ears. The wool smelled like sweat in winter. On the floor, my gloves were stiff from old salt. I shoved my hands in anyway and opened a door. The cold rushed the cab with small, sharp teeth. Snow hit my face and stung like thrown sand. I dropped to the ground and sank halfway up my shin. Crunch, squeak, breath. Hazard lights pulsed amber on white. The big chrome grill of my truck grinned into the storm like the front of a ship into a heavy sea. I pulled my jacket tight and walked forward, arms out for balance. Boots slipping toward the fog line where asphalt gave way to the shoulder and then to nowhere. "Hey!" I yelled into the night. "Hey!" Nothing answered but wind. I cupped my hands around my mouth and yelled again. Snow crowded the sound back at me. Back in the cab, I cranked a CB squelch and tried to mic. 292 northbound or southbound? Talk to me. A voice broke in, lower, calmer. "Driver, northbound's closed at 303. Plows turned around at 298. You won't get far." I was headed for 305 after checking out 292. "Shit, I only need another mile," I said. "Won't get those either," the voice said, and vanished. I stared at my reflection in the black windshield. A man older than he felt, tired, jaw tight from too many miles and not enough sleep. I touched the amulet I'd bought myself with the first paycheck I earned from my CDL in my pocket like it was a coin you rub for luck. Then I did the math nobody pays you to do. Weight, grade, wind, friction, time. The kind of math that makes a line in your gut and dares you to cross it. I took the mic. "I'm coming southbound back to 292 on the shoulder. If there's a wreck down there, I'm gonna block it with my trailer. Any southbound behind me, give me a berth." No one answered. The good thing about being alone is every decision is unanimous. I released the brakes. The truck jerked forward, then slid, then caught. I kept it in second, low gear, slow roll. Hazard lights pulsed out into the white. I took the shoulder like it was my own thin rope stretched along the side of a cliff. The rumble strips ticked under me, but I, like a fast heartbeat. I could feel the drop-off the right side, where the snow piled deeper and the ditch waited for idiots and good intentions. A mile looks longer when you're crawling at 10 miles an hour in a world with no edges. I peered through the slit the defroster kept open on the windshield and spotted the sign, 292. I killed the engine and listened. Nothing. Then, faint, somewhere left of the road, a sound like a cough smothered by a blanket. I opened the door and slid down again. The cold shoved both hands down the sleeves of my jacket. Snow poured into the cuff of my glove and went instantly to ice. I stepped off the shoulder and into the white, and it swallowed me to the knees. "Keep talking," I shouted. "Here." The word was small and frightened, and maybe 20 yards into the ditch. I turned and waited, boots fishing for ground under powder. A shape parted from the drift, the rear quarter of a sedan, its tail light a dull, buried ruby. The car was pitched nose first down into the drainage, half buried. Snow combed up over the trunk like a wave caught mid-break. I clawed at the drift with my gloves until I found the back door handle. I yanked. It wouldn't move. Ice held it closed like a fist. I punched at the rubber gaskets again, until my knuckles sang. My breath fogged. I shouldered the door like a linebacker and felt something rip in my chest. The seal broke with a sigh and the door swung open. Warmth puffed out, thin as a dying candle. The interior light showed a woman in a coat too light for the weather, her hair stuck to her forehead, eyes wide and wet. The air in the car had the metallic taste of exhaust gone wrong. In the car seat behind her, a baby with a knit cap stared up, eyes shiny, mouth slack with sleep or something close to it. A Shih Tzu lay cuddled against the child. "I couldn't get out," she said. I slid and I tried. The car won't. The baby." I reached in and shut the engine off. The silence inside the car was so sudden it made my ears ring. "We're getting you out," I said, but my voice wasn't convincing. I looked up at the slope behind us. It didn't look like a slope. It looked like a white wall. "Is he breathing?" I said, nodding at the baby. Her hands trembled as she leaned down and touched his chest. "Yes, I think so. He's warm. I tried to with my coat." "Okay," I said. I peeled my gloves off with my teeth and used them like oven mitts to lift the baby seat's handle. The plastic bit my bones with cold. I passed the seat to her. "Hold him. Do not take him out of that seat no matter what. You hear me?" She nodded so hard her hat shifted over one eye. "Your door open?" I said. She shook her head. "I tried. It won't." I leaned past her and yanked the driver's side. Frozen. I braced my feet, grabbed the handle with both hands, and put everything I had into a pull. Something gave. A crack tore through ice, through rubber, through me. The door popped and flung a spray of powder into my face. Cold drew a line across my gums. "This is gonna suck," I said, and managed to make my mouth look like a smile. We climbed. Climb is the wrong word for what it is to move through a pack that doesn't know if it's mud or water or roped sand. You don't step so much as argue with the ground until one of you wins. I went first, carving a dumb path with my weight, digging toe holes with the edge of my boots. She came behind with the baby, a sound like a keening saw escaping her throat with every effort. Halfway up, she slipped. I grabbed the handle on the baby seat, and the strap cut my glove like a thin, eager knife. Her knee slammed into my shin, and pain lit the world brighter than the snow. "Keep moving," I said, but it came out through clenched teeth. We reached a shoulder, and the truck's hazard lights bled orange into our faces. Up close, my truck looked like a safe place built by a giant. I opened the passenger door, shoved aside my cooler, and cranked the heat. I lifted the baby seat onto the passenger seat and clicked the belts around it with hands I didn't recognize. The woman climbed in after, fumbling, crying, laughing. oh God, she said. Her fingers pawed at my jacket. Thank you. I nodded and looked out at the white and realized the car in the ditch was still warm, but not for long. It was a death trap with 4 wheels pointed at hell. And the dog, too small to make it alone in the snowdrift, would die if I left it there. I'll be back, I said. I just have to grab your dog. She grabbed my arm with both hands. Don't, she said. Please, please don't. You did enough. He's not even my dog. He belongs to my uncle. Or he did. My uncle died this morning. We were on our way from picking the little guy up until we could decide what to do with him. As for me, I like dogs better than people. There was no question. I was going back for the little fella no matter what the lady said. Her hands were small and iron strong. I managed a thumb under her grip and pried myself free. Don't get out, I'll be 2 minutes. The moment I stepped out the door, the wind made a case for going back in. It shoved at my chest and threw snow in my eyes like a bully. I slid down off the shoulder, found the front of the sedan by feel, cold curves under my palms, and reached for the hood latch. Ice said no. I banged my fist until I felt blood wet under the glove. The hood lifted with a grudging, crunchy sigh. The car's grill was packed with snow. The exhaust pipe was buried. I crawled down to the rear bumper and started digging with both hands. The frantic dog scratched at the window. The snow was falling faster than I could clear it. Every handful was more of the same and the same and the same. By the time I'd cleared a foot around the pipe, I couldn't feel my fingertips. "Fuck this," I said. I pulled off my jacket and wrapped it around my elbow. The cold hit like a hammer. Didn't matter. I wasn't leaving the little guy behind. Pain shot through my shoulder, but the glass didn't break. I tried again and again and again. Finally, when I thought I had no more to give, it finally shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. I unwrapped the blanket from my arm and wrapped it around the dog. He was shivering as badly as I was as I carried him carefully back up to the truck, oblivious to anything other than the need to survive. I reached the truck door and opened it. Inside, the baby made a small sound like a hinge. The woman had both arms wrapped around the seat as if the truck might inhale and suck him up. "Did you get him?" she asked. I held out the shivering bundle to her and pulled myself into the cab. I pushed the CB to life again. "Any unit near mile 292, northbound shoulder, I've got a car in the ditch, mother and infant and their dog in my cab. I need a patch to highway patrol and a plow." A beat. 2. Then that same low voice from earlier. "Copy. I know your handle now, driver. You got a name?" "Hank," I said. "Hank Rios." "Roger that, Hank. I'm Roy. I'm southbound stuck at the 295 turnaround with 2 plows who want to be anywhere else. Hold tight." I looked at the woman. "I'm Hank." She blinked. "Maya." She looked at the baby like she was seeing him again for the first time. "And this is Leo," she said. "He's 9 months. I know we shouldn't have gone out, but my uncle, ha." "You're okay," I interrupted. "You're safe. Leo is safe. And the little dog is safe," I said, gentle as I could make it. "Everyone is safe. The heater filled the cab with a dry, relentless heat. Snow thudded off the roof in big, slushy clumps. The hazard lights ticked, ticked, ticked like a persistent heart. Under it all, a memory slid into the room without knocking. A ditch not unlike this one. Another winter tighter than a drum. Another car nose down and alone. I had been 23 and full of hours and arrogance. I had seen the tail lights half covered in white and said out loud, "Someone else will stop." I drove on, and the radio took a long time to tell me what I already knew I was responsible for. Not the accident, but the minutes. The minutes you can give or keep. The last ones that belong to someone else. I leaned forward until my forehead touched a wheel and the dimpled leather pressed little circles into my skin. Then I sat up straight and looked at Maya and the baby and the white world outside, and I decided I was out of minutes to waste. "I don't think we should wait for help," I said. "Let's strap you in and see if we can get off this mountain. You okay with that?" She blinked again, as if I'd asked her to recite a poem. Then she clicked it. I pulled my gloves back on and slid the truck into gear. The shoulder was a suggestion, the lane a rumor. I drove anyway, slow, steady, the tires finding somewhere to hold on. The trailer groaned as its axles kissed the edge. Snow poured around the aluminum like swift water around a rock. I felt the whole thing yaw and then catch. I watched the mirror. The trailer arced, neat as a drawn bow, and then a little more, too much, and the tail end started to slide. "Hank?" Maya said, small. "It's okay," I said. "It's okay." My voice came from somewhere 5 years older than my driver's license. I cut the wheel and feathered the throttle and felt the rig settle, the way a big animal decides not to fall today. The trailer's square ass now blocked the ditch, a ungainly steel snow fence. The cab shuddered as wind hit and then slid away. The CB popped. "Hank, this is Roy. Got highway patrol on band 2. You copy?" "I copy," I said. "Let me guess. No one can get up here until morning." "Roger that," the voice came back. "You got enough fuel to run your truck until we can get to you?" "I chained up an hour ago," I replied. "I have all the fuel I need, but none of the patience. We're getting off this fucking mountain." "Roger that. Don't take any chances. We'll have the coffee pot brewing when you get down here." "Come again?" I replied. "Did you say Jack Daniels?" Laughter on the other end of the line. I laughed back. Maya smiled, and the truck began to pick up speed. There's a quiet that happens when the plan you didn't have starts to work. Maya sagged against the seat. The baby sucked on his fist, then spat it out and made a noise that might have been a yawn. I took off one glove and reached out and touched the plastic of the car seat with 2 fingers, like it was a sacred relic. Warm. He gripped my bare finger, quick and sure, and then let go. His hand was small and fierce and hot as a living coal. Something in my chest let go so suddenly I had to laugh because crying would have opened the door to something that would drown me. "Hey, Leo," I said, "you got good timing." Maya closed her eyes and breathed in a way that made her shake. When we met him an hour later, Roy turned out to be a bear in a trucker hat, beard white with blown ice, eyes the pale blue o' old glass. "You're a lunatic," he said, and thumped my shoulder hard enough to rearrange my ribs. "A blessed stupid lunatic." "Company's gonna love the log," I said. "Fuck your company," he said, affectionate as a slap. A big truck stop meal and 3 cups of coffee later, Roy had a deputy take Maya and the baby over to the Motel 6 to wait out the storm until her husband could retrieve them. When I finally climbed back into the cab to close the curtains and shut my eyes, Snowball was waiting for me. That's what I called the little dog Maya had rescued from her uncle. Turned out she and her uncle weren't that close, and she didn't even know the little dog's name. She was serious about not knowing what they were going to do with him, and I had the room, so he became my little co-driver. The next morning, the storm was nothing but a memory, and I woke up to a rambunctious little friend whose own personal demands took precedence over my desire to keep sleeping. People ask me what it's like being out here on the road all the time. Well, it's not always like that. But when it is, well, I guess some days your worst days turn out to be the very best. Snowball's in the bunk right now, probably drooling on my pillow. Rude little fucker, but I'd bet you my next paycheck he'd agree.